Pace. Waiting on a few other people to jump in here with us. Tonight we're gonna wait for a few other people to jump in here with us. It's gonna be our live tonight. It ain't gonna be that long either. It's gonna be kind of short. I just want to deal with the origins of Halloween. We celebrate this holiday every year, and I think a lot of people don't know what they're celebrating. Some people say it's the evil holiday. Some people say it's for the kids and it's fun and it's exciting. And I just want to give you the information so you know what you're celebrating. You got to know what you're celebrating nowadays because you get tricked into all kind of things. We know it's $1 billion holiday, $1 billion worth of costumes being made, $1 billion worth of candy being sold. You see, $1 billion you know. But what's really behind it and where did it come from? Did it originate in America? Did it originate in Europe? Did it originate in Africa? Where did it come from? Where did Halloween actually come from? We need to know some origins. We take notes productions. Y'all can join me on my regular podcast tomorrow, 8 p.m., streaming live, Lightwalkers. And check us out. We're going to have an interesting show tomorrow. It's going to be similar to this, but it's not going to be Halloween. It's going to be our modern day Halloween. Tonight, we're going to deal with the celebration that everybody goes to, or the parties and the folklore that's behind that celebration, so that you can really, take notes. Like I said, I'm on these streaming platforms. Can't say everything. I can't give you everything. So you have to go over to my YouTube for the bigger presentation of this, and the Patreon. Okay, so tonight we're gonna give you just a small view of what Halloween is. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready to get into this? This is brought to you by Ancient Mystics, all natural products. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, look for us, herbal scientists, herbal magic. Get your herbs. I got cold and flu herbs. I got herbs for blood pressure, everything. And fresh picked this season. All products made by us and the youth. So support Ancient Mystics, all natural products. Let's get into Halloween. What is Halloween? Where does it come from? Why do we celebrate it? Why is it so much put into it? Is it evil or is it just something fun? These are things we got to ask ourselves now while we're doing this. All right? I'd like to send shouts out to some people. Good evening. Yeah. So, yeah, let's get into this a little bit. Y'all bear with me. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the history of Halloween and where Halloween actually came from and why we celebrating Halloween. The history of Halloween dates back to what they call the first coming of the pagan religions. This is a good book you pick up, The Pagan Mysteries of Halloween. It's a great book to pick up right here. I'm a reader. I read a lot of books, so make sure you get this book. If you don't have it in your library, get it in your library. You need to have books on all of this stuff. My late great teacher, Mineral Brahman, always told me to read everything. Just don't read black books. Read all books. And it's the one to pick up because it's just give you some history. Let's go there a little bit. Halloween is derived from a group called the Druids or the Celtics. Inside the Celtics were a special group of priests, warlocks, like shamans, as you would call them, called the Druids. The Druids are the ones that built Stonehenge. This is a stone monumental structure that you see right here. They represented what they call the Feast of the Samhain. The Feast of the Samhain was dealing with what they call Summer's End. That's what Samhain means, Summer's End. This is the time they said that the veil was thin on the earth and that the spirits and souls of people came back to walk the earth. Now, this was their ancient practice. We're talking around 400 CE, and in Northern Ireland and Europe, this culture had spread all down through Ireland, all up into the Baltics, into Europe and other places. And this Feast of the Samhain is also known as the Feast of the Harvest. When the harvest comes in, They give thanks to their gods for the harvest, for being able to harvest the food. This is called the salmon or the salmon. All right, so y'all do the math, look it up, and check it out. Let's get a little deeper. They would they would have these rituals of fires and different things that they would burn, and they would wear costumes. The costumes were designed because they said at this time when the veil was thin on the earth and the souls would walk the earth, they would wear the costumes, the animal skins, um, animal heads, all kind of stuff, they mud on their face, all kind of stuff that they would put on to disguise themselves in the midst of the souls. So they would be like the souls that were wandering the earth and they wouldn't be seen as humans. And they would tell stories of how the souls walked back in communication with the dead and things of that nature. This was done on a ritualistic gathering during the sermon. Now, there's something special about the sermon that you really got to know. During this time, this was not just the feast of the harvest. This was a time that they would gather in the city of Tyre, and they would have big gatherings where they would do political things and talk politics, and they would get people to come so they could count the people. And this was a time that you brought a part of your harvest to the city so they could be counted like a tax. So this was a big celebration. It's also a time when men ran out and they looked for wives and different things of that nature during this time, suitable candidates to be married, and they did a lot of fooling around. This was a wild time for them, but it was a whole feast. The feast existed from October 31st when they set the veil thin all the way up until November 4th. This was a whole holiday for them. The Christian church came along and mixed in with them and created All Saints Day, which is November 1st. All right? And All Hallows Eve or Halloween was the eve of All Saints Day. This is when Christianity came in and started taking over the lands in Northern Europe. The Romans, they came in conquering people and they started taking the land and taking the people and cutting out their customs. And they took a lot of their customs and formed it into this holiday that we now call Halloween, which was originally called All Hallows Eve. And the original holiday was All Saints Day. Now it's important you know All Saints Day is November 1st, but November 2nd is considered All Souls Day because Catholicisms they always look at the second as being the day that the souls that were left in what they call purgatory. This is a place between heaven and hell that the Christian church believed that you dwell in before the veil is open and you either go to heaven or you go to hell. Some souls were left in purgatory, so they would celebrate the souls of them people. Now, in Ireland, when St. Patrick came to Ireland in the 12th century, when St. Patrick came, he brought what they call Christianity or Catholicism. It wasn't Christianity at first. That's a new form coming into how we spin it into today. It was Catholics. Catholics was the Roman Catholic Church, and their magic and their law came into play, which took over the pagan religions and pushed them out the way. It did away with a lot of the priests and the druids that were involved in it, and they took the holiday themselves. And this is a deep concept. Let's follow with me. They would have these feasts, and as you can see in the picture of the tall statue, this was called the wicker fires. The wicker fires were wicker baskets that were built, and these fires were built for sacrificing animals and different things to the gods like Moloch and Azazel and Abizel and other gods they had that they would sacrifice some of their harvest to. They later even started putting people in them, especially like criminals and stuff like that. You can see the Wicker Fire. Many of y'all saw the movie The Wicker Man. That was a movie that dealt with this whole Wicker thing. And this was considered a pagan or Druid cult. Anything that's called pagan is outside of the four religions that rule the world: Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Hinduism. Anything outside of those religions is considered pagan. This is how the Europeans of the New World looked at everything. It was considered pagan. It was considered less than the worship of the four major religions that rule the world. But this was the feast of the Sama. They they would put candles in iron inside of potatoes, and the candle inside of the potato would represent the light so that the spirits could see in the dark and they would pass you up. Now, later in folklore, they created a story about Jack, old angry Jack. Jack was stingy. That's the Irish word, stingy. Jack was evil. And they said that Jack tricked the devil a couple of times. One time he tricked him. The devil came to collect Jack's soul because he was so evil. And Jack made a trick on him where he told him he put some coin, a gold coin in his pocket, but he really put a cross in his pocket. And he bind the devil to that cross. And the devil said, "Hey man, you gotta let me go because I got more souls to take than yours." And Jack cracked a deal with him. "Don't take my soul, and I'll let you go." So Jack went on to let the devil go, and he went on to do his evil and his whatnot. Now, while he was doing this, a couple of weeks later, Jack died according to this. And the devil came again, and he couldn't take his soul. And Jack, wait a minute, I messed the story up, y'all. Excuse me, I messed the story up. Jack was evil, and the devil came to collect his soul again. And this time he bind the devil to the tree, asked the devil to go up before you take my soul, to go up and get an apple out the tree for him so he could have his last taste of the apple. When the devil went to the tree, he put a cross on the tree and bind the devil. He kept tricking the devil according to this folklore. The devil got tired of it and said, "Hey, look, man, I'll make a deal with you. I don't want your soul at all. Just let me out the tree so I can go get some more souls." Bet. Jack let him out the tree. Jack got sick and he died. And when he died, he went to heaven, and God didn't want him. And the devil, he went back down to hell, and the devil wouldn't take him because he made a deal with him. So he scooped some of the coal from the hellfire and handed it to Jack. And Jack and put it in Jack's hand and said, this will keep you the light so that you can see in the dark. And this is where the story of the jack-o'-lantern comes from. Jack-o'-lantern. And it was the Irish potato that the story was originally come from, because the pumpkin was from America, and they used the pumpkin because it was a gourd and it was big, and they were able to carve, and it lasted with the heat. And this became in the tradition of jack-o'-lantern. That's why you always see the face of the jack-o'-lantern look so evil, because they say Jack was evil. Some things y'all should know. Why you got them pumpkins and stuff in your front yard with the frown on their face. Some of us try to put a happy face on it, but we're still celebrating the same thing. The ghosts, like I said, they would tell ghost stories. Now, before I get into this, when you're talking the modern day Halloween or the mixes of culture, Halloween is not just Irish Druid culture, Celtic culture, and Roman culture coming together combined. It also has African culture in it. Yes, because the ghosts represented the spirits that walked the earth. You see, and there were many kind of different spirits that walked the earth. And in African culture, it was, especially when the slaves came over here, the slaves believed in the ghosts. They believed in what they called the Hanks. The Hanks were these spirits that traveled the earth during this time of the veil. And they would sit around and have stories about the Hanks. And they had all kind of superstitions, like if you sweep broom, you sweep over somebody's feet, you gotta spit on the broom. Or don't cross the path of the black cat. A lot of these were moving in from European traditions into African folklore. And it became a mix of things. And that's why the ghost is so celebrated in Halloween. And it also represents those spirits that walk the earth. And in African tradition, we would put out a plate of food, we put out their favorite shirt, their pipe, their hat, or a dress, or what something that they wanted. It was their favorite that they took kin to. And we would lay that out for them in respect of it, because we always paid homage to our ancestors. So it became ancestral worship involved in this, okay, with the Celtic folklore of the spirits that travel the earth. Also, it was called the souling. When the kids went trick or treat, it was called souling back then before trick or treat. Trick or treat is America. something new. Soling was a practice that was practiced on Halloween, where they would come to your door and pray for the souls of those that have departed. You see, that's why in Christian Catholicism on Halloween they have a mass, and it's for the souls of those that have departed. And they have a mass that starts on Halloween night and it goes all the way to November 2nd, which is November 1st will be All Saints Day, November 2nd will be All Souls Day. And this is where the craft of the ghost came in with Halloween. So you know this, and do some research on it so you can get more in depth. I'm only giving you a little snippet, tastes of the information, just so you have it for your record. Things that make you open up your mind and think. All right? So note that. Let's move on. They would have these wild, lavish parties for the rich, where they would, like I said, wear these costumes. And the costumes would symbolize them hiding from the spirit. And these were some wild parties. They would have, they would do all kind of indulgence and sexual indulgence and all kind of things would happen at these parties. And these parties were thrown for the elite, the rich, for the kings and queens and dukes and different things that the rich people they would get together and have these what they call a masquerade ball. Let's say that again. It's called a masquerade ball. Many of y'all tonight heading out to go to one of those masquerade balls, or you went Saturday. You see, and when you dressed up in your favorite clown suit or things like that. Black people, we've been celebrating this for a long time. It's not new. It's not new. It's not just them. It's a mixture of cultures that create what they call the modern day Halloween. And these celebrations would take place for 2 days. And they would rival in apple bobbing, all the things that were done during harvest festivals. And many pagan religions and cultures they have the feast of the harvest where you bob for apples, sleigh rides, the bonfires, and all those things like that. They would have parties like that, but the rich elite would dress up in costume for the masquerade ball. Here's a picture I found of a club. This was in like the 1890. This was called the Hell Club. The Hell Club was a club that they gathered for these special holidays like this. And it looked like hell in the inside. It looked like you were sitting in hell as you could see all the demons and stuff over their heads. This was the front door of it right here. As you can see right here, this was their front door. Right here. And this was a hell club. You had to be an exclusive member to be part of this club. And these clubs, these type of clubs still exist today. They don't look like this anymore. Now they all pyrotechno with lights and technology and all of that stuff. Y'all see some of the music award shows that glorify this. This is why they glorify it, because this is part of a culture that they had of the Druids and the warlocks and the witches. And these things come together, and these special people would be invited to come to clubs like the Hell Club or Hellfire Club. Where did the Wicked Witch come from? Where did the witch come from? There have been witches for years. They've had major witch hunts like the Salem witch trials, which they would burn women at the stake, men too. And one of the first sisters, I forget the sister name, it slips my mind. Somebody know her name? Give me her name. It's a funny name. Tatula. She was accused of what they call heresy. Heresy came out of the witch trials, saying that you were a witch. If you weighed lighter than a duck or like a piece of wood, you would be able to float on water, and you were considered a witch. If you sank, you was considered a witch. They would put you in a big chair and tie you down and put you in the water, that chair would sink, and you was a witch. Which you know the chair will sink anyway. But this was the heresy trials that they would have. Look, she was on trial for bewitching 2 European girls. She was later found innocent, but there were many of them that met their end in them Salem witch trials, burned at the stake with fires, hanged. And they did all kind of stretching, quartered them, all kind of things were happening in these trials. I think the people that were throwing the trials were more evil than the people they were accusing witchcraft of. By the way, the term witch means the wise woman. Okay? They were afraid of that. They were afraid of women at that time too, of the earth powers. So a lot go with this. Like I said, I'm giving you bits and pieces so that you can go a little bit deeper. If you're a spiritual person and you want to know what you out there celebrating before you go out there, then you need to dig a little bit deeper. We look at this picture right here. This is a picture of Ursula Shipton. Ursula Shipton was in Yorkshire, and she was considered the first one. This is where they get the Wicked Witch from. This is where they get the version of the Wicked Witch from. Ursula Shipton. She was a sister. They said when they tried her for heresy, they said she made the judge have a heart attack. And she rolled off on a dragon, on the back of a dragon. The dragon came through the courtroom. She jumped on the back and rolled off and left a trail of fire outside the door. This is a folklore about Ursula Shipton. Look her up. This is who they made the version of the Wicked Witch. And you see her hat. They later changed her where she was ugly in the nose, but they kept it, instead of making the nose broad nose like she was, the African woman that she was, they pointed her nose and made her ugly, but this is where they got the thing of Ursula Shipton from. See, she got the demon sitting next to her. You see, so I want to show y'all some of this stuff. When we talk about vampires, the modern day vampire, Count Dracula, this was the first, this is where they got Dracula from. This is Vlad the Impaler. He fought the Ottoman Empire during the 1400s. He was known as the Impaler. As you can see in the picture next to him, all the people hanging at the stake. He was known, his father was given the title Dracula or Dracul. And Dracul meant the dragon. And they were known to drink blood and be cannibalistic, especially him. He was vicious on the battlefield. He played no games. They said in one battle he impaled 14,000 people, and he said he ate from the flesh of some of them, and he was known to drink the blood. This is where you get the modern thing of Count Dracula or Dracula. It's from the dragon, Dracul, or it comes out of this myth of this man, Vlad the Impaler. Look him up. Look him up. So each one teach one so we can know one and help one and teach our children. So when we go out, we buy these costumes, know where we're buying them from, know who we're imitating and who we're emulating in this situation. This is Vlad the Impaler. This is the first of Count Dracula. This is where the Dracula myth came from. Now, here's another part of the Dracula, two stories put together. Here's a story of Elizabeth Bathory. Elizabeth Bathory was a royal woman in the Ukraine, and she was in power, and she was so ruthless in power that she was seeking for the fountain of youth. So what she would do was she would catch young women and she would dance and party until they worked up their pressure, and then she would bleed them. She would cut them, stab them, whatever she did, and she bled them into a tub. And she would get in the tub and wobble around in the blood and drink it and rub it all over herself, and it was considered the fountain of youth. They said that she has did this to almost 1,800 women or better. And if you see a picture, she was known as a vampire. When they caught up with her, they locked her in a castle. And this is where she passed away at, in the castle. She went insane and passed away. This is Elizabeth Bathory. I'm going to say her name again. Elizabeth Bathory. So y'all pay attention. Do some research on her. And Vlad the Impaler. Like I said, these are the two people. These are the two people that we get Halloween from. Excuse me, y'all. I'm moving too quick. Y'all. These stories, like I said, This is the history of Halloween, and this is the history that goes into Black people's history of Halloween. Like I said, during the slave trade, we would we practiced the folklores of the Orishas and the different gods that were brought from Africa and the different hanks that they were called. Down south, that was a common word, the hanks. And the hanks were like spirits that came into your house, especially during this time in the veil season. And during the 31st of the veil season, during this season, they said that a lot of rituals take place on the planet because of the veil is thin during this time, and you're able to go through these rituals and go to the other side and communicate with those spirits that walk the earth, the many deities and entities that walk upon the earth. So Black people we've been celebrating Halloween for a long time, and it wasn't just taught to us by white people. We brought our own celebration. Like I said, it was a mixture of first the Druids, Celtics, and the Druids, which is the same people, and the Roman Catholics. And when the slaves came involved, it became a mixture of Black culture, like voodoo and different things that were thrown in, different religions, the Yoruba religion, different things and practices, like I said, of ancestral worship. And this was what created the ghost stories and different things. And we would sit around and we would tell these stories about slaves who came back to revenge the plantation, who walked through who were wiped out, annihilated by the slave master, and they still walked amongst the forests and trees seeking their revenge. And there are a lot of stories. There's a whole book of Black folklore that you can pick up. To go and research and look up Black folklore and look at the stories. This was our Halloween. We celebrated Halloween. Like I said, we would have our rituals. Our rituals were born out of a mixture of Black culture and Catholic religion put together. And we would practice these things. We practiced what they call hoodoo at first, then it became voodoo when the French got it. And we were very, very keen to the spirit world. We were very observant of the spirit world and very afraid of it. A lot of people say, no, we ain't nothing afraid. Yes, we were. Stop telling that. Yes, we were. Because the stories of the Hanks, that's what they talk about, the Hanks. My grandmother used to say, we got the Hanks in the house. That's why the weed told her to keep the Hanks out the house. That's why people burn their white sage to remove not only the negativity around you and the bacterial in the air, but it was also to ward back the Hanks or the spirits. That's why you show them ghost story things. You see people hunting ghosts and stuff. They always burning the stage. Somebody, who are you? Who are you? Y'all watch them shows, so know what you're celebrating. This was an early form of a mask of the pumpkin carved by Africans. This was the jack o' lantern. This was carved by some slaves. They found this a relic, and I think it was in South Carolina of this, and it had been preserved. But this was us doing the jack o' lantern thing because these European customs and cultures were taught to us. So we have to understand how we got these ritualistic things. And to bag up this a little bit, the vampire bat was a sacred bat that drank the blood of animals and insects and different things like that. So it became demonized, and they said that the vampire would jump into the bat and transform and fly away. Same as they said the black cat. The black cat witches would change into the black cat and run back into the forest. So they started demonizing the animals, started demonizing the animal kingdom, these certain animals. And this is where you get these myths and these folklores from right now today. So know what you celebrated. Just know what you're celebrating. I want people to know modern day Halloween trick or treat comes from the American custom of it. When you came into it started in the 1900s after the war, they started having these communities that would go out and celebrate knocking on door to door, just as the Christian church did what they call the soul in. The soul in would be to knock on your door and pray for the souls of the dearly departed, and you would give them ale or cross-button cakes. Now this tradition had bled into America when the Irish came to America, and the tradition bled into America, and it became trick or treat. And then we brought in the Celtic traditions of the costumes and some of the rituals of that night, and it became a modern day holiday. By the 1950s, the suburban America was really celebrating, and blacks in the inner city were celebrating it too, especially places like Harlem, New York, and a lot of the sororities and fraternities, black sororities, fraternities, have these big masquerade balls during this time, and they would celebrate this holiday. This is not new to us. You know, I'm bringing this information so you'll know the satanic things were added to it. Okay, we already saw the ghosts, we already saw the vampire. Okay, but they added a lot of other elements to it, a lot of other groups like the Wiccans and different other witch guilds and cauldrons and hives got together. Remember, a hive, when you hear them talking in witchcraft and they say a hive, that's a whole lot of people. It's a whole lot of Beyonce said she has a beehive. She's the queen of the hive. And what is the hive? This is the witches guild. And they were bringing their practices due to the earth being thin at the veil during this time. Now we look at the practice as being something uh, um, nice and happy and fun for the young people. But behind closed doors, there are a lot of different things that go on in this day due to the veil, the thinning of the veil, and the shortening of the sky. That the ceiling of the sky is shorter during this time because we are in what they call the equinox. We're in that period. We're still in the period, and this is where the harvest season comes in at. So know your stuff. Study, take notes, production. That's who we are. So do this. And like I said, this is African mass that deals with Halloween. It was found in South Carolina. Part of a collection that they got off a plantation, and it's been preserved. And like I said, even with the zombies, the word zombie, the zombie is not a European thing. Zombie came over from African, Benin, West Africa traditions in voodoo and Kidu and other forms of spirituality that they were known to zombify people to make them warriors and slaves. And the Haitian Revolution was dealt with a lot of people being turned into zombification to be controlled to do what they needed to do the bidding and the will of those that control the soul of the zombie. The African culture also had a thing where they would trap your soul inside of a vessel, and especially and hold that vessel to the daylight until the soul dissipated in the daylight. Now, when we came over to America, we did it with bottles. In Mississippi and places like that, people would hang bottles everywhere. And you wonder why these bottles were hung out at nighttime. You were hanging on strings and stuff because they were said to capture souls. And the souls were trapped inside of the bottles. And when the sunlight came up, the soul was dissipated through the light. So know about the zombification and what the zombie was, and things like not only just the zombie, but the gargoyles. That was a European custom of the things on top of the building. These were these spirits, these stone spirits that they said would come alive in the night, and they would protect the town, and they would protect the town from people that were taken from the town. So all of these folklores and different things are all woven into the modern day celebration of what we call Halloween. And we as a people, we've always been a spiritual people, where we've always looked at the spiritual world for real. I grew up with people who were around me were very spiritual, and they did not play with the spiritual world. We were the first ones to have funerals inside of our own homes because we believed in of us sending our home away properly. The European taught us to wear black at a funeral because that was his customs and concept. We wore white in the purification of that soul. And we looked at a lot of the African masks were carvings of souls. See, that's a lot of things they'll tell y'all when y'all go to the African festivals and you see all them masks and you ask him what that mask do, and all he can tell you is a price for the mask, and he'll tell you it means good luck. No, each African mask meant something different, and it was based off of the celebration of the deities and the ancestors and those protectors that protect nature and us. So know what we're doing. We are very spiritual people, and our customs is mixed up in this too today. Like even if you go to you look at for the last 100 something years in Detroit, they would have what they call Devil's Night. Devil's Night when they set all the buildings on fire in Detroit, all the old buildings on fire in Detroit. People would come from all over to burn up. Arsonists from all over would come just to burn up buildings. And it was in our neighborhoods that this started. And now by the late 80s and 90s, we were burning up more buildings because we were burning up a lot of the crack houses that was there. Because Detroit was full of crack houses. And we're doing Halloween. We set these houses on fire. People go out and set these places on fire so they never existed anymore. And they later changed that by tearing down a lot of the buildings and putting up the new infrastructure and the regentrification projects so it was nothing else to burn. So now in the comment by 2017, that doesn't really exist like that anymore. You might get one or two fires, but not like they used. There used to be hundreds of fires in one night. One night they had almost 400 fires going on at one time. Okay, this is why this was called Demon Night in Detroit. And these practices, even with our young people, how we practice going out at nighttime with the mischief, the Hellfire Club, and we had mischief, where we go out and throw eggs and rocks and do all kind of mischievous things outside during the night of Halloween because this was based off the Devil's Night or Demon Night. You see what I'm saying? And some of our young folks today, they even talk like that now. They say, we on demon time. So y'all know where this is going. And these guilds have interwoven their culture inside of the culture of Halloween. This is why everything looks so demonic and the atmosphere of the parties. And if you out doing this tonight, just be careful. If your soul tell you, your spirit tell you to go home, go home. Don't play with it, go home. Follow your first mind. Because this is a night that's been into sorcery and trickery. You see, and this is Halloween. This is how we've been celebrating Halloween. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of it because I promised I would do it. And our babies, we do it for the sake of our babies. I know everybody do it for the sake of the babies. I know we do it for the sake of the babies. But we have to look at this whole thing, why we doing it. And we have to examine how we became a part of it. Because a lot of times we'll say this is a European holiday, but we've been involved in this holiday since the 1500s, 1400s, and even in Africa. We brought our traditions over and mixed with the Celtics and the Romans and to give you this modern day thing. This is why we practice it. This is how black folks got in Halloween. So there's know what I'm talking about. Do your research. And our babies, they prey on our babies. It's $1 billion business. Like I said, $1 billion business. They sold $1 billion worth of candy, $1 billion worth of costumes. You see, and some of these corporations, they fund Black Death. They fund some of the violence in your streets. They fund some products that are no good for you, but they sell your children $1 billion business. Now, while I'm talking about the babies, back when I was a young person, they used to have these candy scares. News always reported nobody ever died from the candy scares. One time they frightened us with they put razor blades in the apples. And my mother used to come home and we trick or treat and we would dump all the stuff out on the table and go through it and popcorn balls and all of that stuff, the apples and some candy and look how it was wrapped and everything to check to see if there wasn't no razor blades, no poison or nothing in the candy before we ate it. And I'm going to tell y'all, in the common day time, in the crazy times we live in, if you take your children out trick-or-treating, do this same practice. Dump them bags, see what they got. All right? Because right now they could put some fentanyl in the candy. Who knows? We're in some crazy times, and technology and improvement of drugs, they get us good. So protect our babies and know while we out there celebrating Halloween, what Halloween really means. Do your homework on it. Look at it. Why? What is it? Why are we celebrating it? Because you'll find us in this culture since the culture arrived in the Americas. All right. So if we know better, we do better. That's the way things go. If we know better, we do better. All right, y'all. It's been Halloween for us, and I just want to give y'all that little presentation right there. I promise to be real quick with this because I didn't want to hold nobody up tonight. I just want to give this information because I promised I would do it last Wednesday on Lightwalkers, so I'm bringing it tonight. Just know what we celebrate. Know how we get involved in it. Know the consequences of being involved in it. Know that there are different beehives and different cauldrons and gills that are working tonight in this thin veil that we're having. Know these things. And this is how we protect ourselves by information. So I want y'all to do the information and do it for your young people. And let's have a safe one tonight. And some of y'all I see some comments on this. Some people say they in for the night. They're not having or observing Halloween. Good. Do your homework on it. Is it something for you? Because a lot of people at church tonight, like I said, Catholics is Christianity. And if the church is open, somebody they having safe spaces for young people, and they still celebrating this worship of this holiday. I don't celebrate no holidays. I don't get into it. They have nothing to do with me. I don't eat candy, and I ain't gonna wear no mask. Some of y'all wear masks every day, so you don't need to put on no Halloween mask. You got a mask on every day. You see, so you know we got to practice better for ourselves in the 21st century. If we got information, we're able to teach our babies. We're able to create new things for them that don't have us in this spirit of the ghosts and the goblins and the witches and the vampires and all these other things that surround this make believe American holiday that was stolen from traditions of other cultures and has been passed down through the centuries to Americas now in the modern day time where you have a modern day Halloween. Look at some of the parties that's going on right now with the devil horns and the pentagrams and all the things. Now, you would listen to the information, you would think these things are innocent because they're just fun and good laughter. But these people that you there, you thinking that, but these people for real what they doing. So note this. And while we out there tonight, just be careful because Bonnie Rubble and Freddie Flintstone stick you up tonight. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a mask on tonight, and this is like a day of indulgence. It's just like Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday. It's a day of indulgence, and people indulge in all kind of things. So this is Halloween, y'all. Let's see, we got any comments? Okay, thank y'all. Let's see who's watching. I want to say peace to Carl, to my man Spoon, Zulu King Isaac Q, my big head son, King K, John, Decker, it's my man, Chris Blanks. Hey Chris, what's going on? I see Chastity. How you doing, good sister? Good, good, good. Thank y'all for tuning in with me. You know what I'm saying? As we talk about Halloween, you know what I'm saying? Find you something else to do. Find you something constructive to do. We got to start doing the knowledge on all the holidays now. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and how we got involved in it. And what benefit do we get from it? You know, if it's $1 billion business a year, and most of the billions, half the billions is made in our communities, and we got nothing. So it's a real trick or treat. You see what I'm saying? Real trick and treat. You know what I'm saying? They treat themselves while they trick you. You know, because you don't have information. And when we buying into a lot of the stuff that they provide for us in the mythological, I was listening to one thing about Halloween today, and he tried to make it this great thing. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been studying cultures, and I see these cultures, and I see the darkness in some of this stuff, and how it leaked into this, and it's been covered up to be a nice day for the young people and different things like that. We got to be aware of all of that. We have to keep our minds focused and keep ourselves together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna keep y'all. This is Lord Cassius D. This has been a small version, like I said, a small version of what is Halloween. Stay tuned with us tomorrow for Light Walkers. And me and Chris Lyon, we are on and popping tomorrow. We got a whole subject that's gonna deal similar to this, but it's gonna step it up a grade. We're going to be talking about something stepping up a grade in the spiritual world. Our job is to deliver the spiritual information and to get your mind to thinking. And if I can get your mind to thinking, I can get you to read. If I can get you to read, I can get you back to writing so that you can create a new existence for your kind through word sound. This has been Lord Cassius D, Ancient Mystics All Natural Products, and this has been What is Halloween? I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.